focus on your discipline. Do things like, you know, spiritual journeys and meditation and psychedelics and things that you got to say, listen, this is going to be the pressure of the world in this situation is going to try and steer me this way. Yeah. So I got to overcompensate by working that much harder to make sure I stay grounded and stay balanced. But those, you know, those mechanisms aren't in place and they're not part of mainstream understanding. So, you know, whereas maybe in 50 years, a person like Michael Douglas will be like, listen, here's your 18th birthday. You're going down to Peru. I know this shaman really well. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And then every year thereafter, you're doing something else, you know, staying in an ashram for 2 weeks. Or he's going to know that there's so much pressure that he can help kind of guide this. But right now, it's just nobody knows that much.
Yeah, could you imagine if you grew up and your dad was a giant movie star and you go on the red carpet holding your dad's hand and like, also, you have to live in that guy's shadow.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you doing, man? Oh, you run a bakery? You're Michael Douglas's kid.
Right.
Your fucking dad's he won the Oscar. I don't even know if he won an Oscar. I'm sure he did. One of those
I'm sure.
things.
It's something or another,
but,
yeah.
You know, what a fucking weird batch of pressure that is. You know, I have friends that their dads are, like, pretty successful, and they still, like, they're adults. They live under the shadow of their dad. Even if they're more successful than their dad. It's like, see? You know, fucking past your dad. No, you didn't. You know,
yeah, it's a weird dynamic. They call that like the Oedipal complex, right? Where you have to, that urge to kill your father. And it's not literally kill your father, but it means to overcome, you know, what his greatness was, you know, be better than him in some way or another.
And fuck your mom.
And fuck your mother. Yeah, that's another. I don't even know how to explain that part. But yeah, but that's part of this drive, like to be better than the generation before you, it's why, you know, a lot of times, even in South America, the shamans, they train, you know, father to grandson rather than father to son. They skip a generation to avoid that kind of power dynamic because they know it's going to be kind of fucked up if they're both practicing at the same time. It's always going to be weird.
That's really clever.
Yeah.
That's so clever that they do that.
It was probably out of just sheer necessity, you know?
Yeah, I got a way better relationship with my grandfather than I ever did with my father.
Right.
My grandfather, like, there's no pressure on him.
Exactly.
You know, he'd already raised kids. I was his, you know, his daughter's kid. It was easy.
Yeah.
Hung out with that dude, went fishing with him and shit, you know?
Yeah. And he's not wrapped up in the ego of, that's my boy. You know, that's a big problem that fathers get caught up in, too. They identify with their children, and that becomes part of their identity, and then they put so much pressure on these kids for their own benefit, rather than just, hey, you're a human. You know, what's best for you, buddy?